it's Brenda Meller with Meller Marketing. We are going live on LinkedIn and live on Facebook. Very exciting because this is my first time I have a guest who is out of doors. And I just want to take a second to welcome Paul Sherwood. Yeah, Paul, how you doing on this wonderful Friday?
Morning. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're walking. Where are you walking right now?
I'm just walking my neighborhood. I'm pretty sure my neighbors are going to be wondering what is this weird guy doing with a selfie stick. And
are you holding a selfie stick? It's pretty stable.
I am holding a selfie stick.
That's awesome. So this is the first time we are going like out of doors for LinkedIn Live on the social media pie. And this is kind of this interviewing series that I created that I created this PIE acronym because if you guys know me, you know that I love pie. But I'm calling it social media pie because the P stands for inspiring people. So people like Paul that I bring on to inform and educate you on various topics. And that's the I and the E. And today we're we're going to have a fun conversation with Paul Sherwood, and we're talking about, how he's a connector of people and of opportunities. So Paul, I'm getting a little bit of the wind background noise, so I'm going to mute you when I'm talking, and then I will unmute you when you're talking. But I was going to try to go outside too, guys, but I'm like a wimp when it comes to cold. I've got a space heater in my home office to try to keep my hands warm and stuff like that. So I admire Paul for his bravery. When the weather gets warmer, I'll probably go outside myself. Are you going to run now? Is he actually running? Let me take you off. It looks like you're running. Are you going to run?
I ran across the street because the car was coming.
Like he's going to get winded and out of breath here. So as we're getting started this morning, I just want to remind anybody who's watching this, if you're watching this on LinkedIn, drop a comment below. Let us know where you're watching this from. If you know Paul, make a comment below and let me know how you know Paul. And we'll make a point a little bit later on in the broadcast to welcome all of you who are watching. So I'll give you a shout out if you leave a comment, and we'll get your name here on screen. And then I also want to remind you, if you happen to be watching this on Facebook, or a little bonus here, if you go on Facebook and watch the live, you can actually leave a comment there and I can pop your comment up on screen. So a little reminder for you if you're looking for some additional visibility for yourself or for your business on there. So what I'd like to do at this point is just kind of, we'll have a conversation, Paul and I. And Paul, do you remember where we first met? I feel like it was a connection probably through the HR community, like through Tina Marie Woolfield or maybe Lee Meadows or something like that. Do you remember when we first met?
It was exactly that. It was 2 years ago at the Walsh College, one of the events that HR Unite hosted at Walsh College. I was a vendor working for another company.
Yeah.
And that's when we first met.
Awesome. And Paul's like one of those people, like once I connected with him, we have very similar philosophies and approaches, and just the energy level is very similar. And he's super active online on LinkedIn, and I've done some training with his organizations before as well. And then I reached out, and I'm not even sure when we reached out. Was it pre-pandemic, Paul, or was it after things got started when we talked about setting this interview?
Actually, I think once you went LinkedIn Live, you said you were going to tap me on the shoulder at some point.
Okay.
And then it was shortly, I think it was pre-pandemic, and you had a number of LinkedIn Live interviews, and then you said, hey, how about getting on the calendar for April?
Okay.
And I was more than happy to do it. So
yeah, and some of the folks that I've booked for interviews, it's like life has changed so much since we originally set those interviews, and some we've decided we're going to wait a little while before we schedule that interview and have that discussion. But the topic that Paul chose, I'm going to pop it up on screen right now. I'm vamping a little bit. That's what I'm doing when I do these things. I'm vamping a little bit as I pull the topic up on screen. So we're going to talk about connecting people and helping spread the word, and using the hashtag opportunities for that. So Paul, tell me a little bit first about your background, what you do for your career, and then let's get into this conversation and tell me, why are you so passionate about being a connector of people?
Yeah, so I'm in sales, so which is a odd way to find yourself connected to HR groups when you're not really trying to sell.
I don't even think of yourself. I don't think of you as a salesperson. You're such a good salesperson. I don't think of you as a salesperson.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so I currently work for EyeMed Vision Care. I'm a sales rep for Southeast Michigan. But my passion really is to connect people. I'm kind of one of those people where my wife would tell you we're exact opposites. Like where I like the more is merrier, she's like the less is better for her. She's more about intimate gatherings as opposed to massive, 20, 30 people.
Okay.
So for me, when I started to get really active on LinkedIn again, I really wanted to use my connections
hmm
so that I could somehow impact somebody's life and maybe not even know it. So I started to get on this kick about when I saw an opportunity in my feed for a job opening, for example,
Okay.
I would just share it and say, helping spread the word, hashtag opportunities.
hmm
You gave me a tip recently, and that was to tag the person who actually posted or the company who posted it, because
Yeah.
sometimes they don't see that you shared it.
Yeah, the share's a little tricky because I sometimes will see, and it's more often than not, I have to pull up my phone and I see the shares, but it's kind of tucked away and I don't get the same notification as if you tag or mention me in a post. So yeah, little
Right.
tricky for you guys there. Yeah.
So, one of the rewards for me is that I'm actually seeing people within my network
Uh-huh.
actually using the same phrase, helping spread the word.
Awesome.
And so it's kind of cool that this little thing that I decided to do to just make sure that, I'm not a super connector. I have maybe 3,500 connections right now. So I'm not, crazy connected to a lot of people on LinkedIn. But I figure if there's one person in those 3,500 people that
Mhm.
may look at that job opportunity and say, that's a perfect fit for me. That's
Right.
exactly what I was looking for.
Yep.
Then I've impacted somebody.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love that mentality and just the thought, the sentiment there of helping others and paying it forward and giving it back. And I'm going to mute Paul's mic for just a second here because we're getting a little bit of background feedback. So if you joined us late here, what's happening here is Paul has decided to be my first LinkedIn Live guest that's outside. And I actually want to pull up Paul's profile up on my screen here. So I'm going to show you guys what kind of inspired this this LinkedIn Live outside was Paul's post from, I want to say, I'm going to unmute you, Paul. Was it from last Friday? Let me see if I can unmute you here. Hold on just a second here. So I need to share it first. There we go. And then I'm going to go back to StreamYard. I'm navigating behind the scenes, guys. I never apologize. I never make mistakes when I'm doing my LinkedIn Lives. Did you know that? They're all learning opportunities. So what I just learned is I can't unmute Paul when I do a screen share. So I just learned something new. But Paul, do you remember when that post was? Was it last Friday? When was it? What about
It was last Friday.
Okay. And I'm going to pull this up on screen, guys. This was hilarious. And I first read it and I almost scrolled by, but then I looked at it and I'm like, that's kind of brilliant. So we are now in this world of, we have everybody working from home. So here's the post right here. And I'm going to see if I don't think I need to make it any larger. Hopefully you guys can see this up on screen. But Paul is, he said, is anyone else running into this now that most of us are going on 4 weeks of working from home? We did kind of a prep session last week, and he needed to make sure he had a quiet space to do the interview where people weren't going to be coming in and out of the room. So he went through and set up, this is in Gmail. He created conference rooms, you guys. Conference room 1 is his den. Conference room 2 is his kitchen table. Conference room 3 is master bedroom. And then 4 was car and garage, and 5 was car and driveway. And I was like, that's kind of brilliant because there's times where I'm doing these lives and I luckily I have a home office, I can close the door, but my husband might be doing a Zoom on the kitchen table or something in the living room, and the kids are doing their classwork and they need the computer and they need a quiet space. And I just thought it was really funny. And I said, well, maybe I go in my driveway next week for the interview, Paul. And then I think we had a conversation. You said, hey, I'm going to do this outside, right?
Yeah. And then that's when you made the comment, I envision you with a selfie stick. And I was like, well, I happen to have one. So I will be doing that.
And you've got, is it like a stabilizing selfie stick? Because it
No,
doesn't seem to be wobbling too much or anything.
I actually have it like, I'm holding it like up, the end of it is like pressed up against my stomach. So I'm using that as like kind of
your
a
body
stable
part
platform.
of the stabilization.
Right.
So really great technique there. Yeah. So so shifting back to the topic here, Paul, I mean, connecting people and helping spread the word. Is this just something you're doing now because of what's happening with the pandemic, or how long have you been helping others and sharing on LinkedIn?
I would probably say for at least 2 years now, I've been trying to use that helping spread the word.
Okay.
It hasn't been pandemic focused. It's been like kind of me focused. I'm a firm believer that that you kind of get what you put out there. And if you connect with me, I sometimes will say like, I really truly believe in social media karma.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're really out there for the right reasons, if you're really trying to truly help people, I think that comes back to you sometimes tenfold. It may not be right away. It may not be a month from now, or 6 months from now, or a year from now. But when you do those kind of things, I think people remember that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good kind of mentality and approach. And I'm a big believer in the social media karma concept as well. And the fact that you're doing these posts, the first and foremost thing is you are helping others. You never know. And like you said earlier, you never know when that post is going to reach the person who needs to see it.
Right.
We only see a limited number of posts and views on social media based on our activity and what's happening when we're out there. But when you share it, you're reaching more people. And you have a couple other hashtags that you use too, Paul. Could you share a couple of those, what you use? And there's a couple that are kind of common, right?
Yeah. So I created not channel, not even the right word for it, but I wanted something that was different from where I work.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a weird way, most of my posts that get the most views and the most attraction are things that have nothing to do with EyeMed. And it was the same thing would be said at my previous company. When I posted about my own company, I would maybe get, for me, a couple hundred views.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But if I posted something about a thought, something, a hot topic going on in the world, COVID-19, whatever it may be, and perspective, my viewership went through the roof. So I created, I guess it's not a channel, but I created hashtag the Woo Report.
Yes, that's the one. So I'm going to pull this up. If you guys are not following this hashtag yet, so if you go into your LinkedIn search bar, the Woo Report. So where are you pulling the word woo from? What does that mean?
So when I used to work at the Detroit Regional Chamber,
mm-hmm.
This was way back when, early 2000s.
Okay.
Their email server didn't have the ability to put Sherwood at DetroitChamber.com.
Okay.
So they cut off the D. So it was Sherwood at DetroitChamber.com. So my nickname quickly became Woo internally and externally.
That's awesome.
So a lot of the insurance broker partners that I worked with would just be like, woo, woo.
Right.
So I wanted something that was attached to me, but not attached to my company that I work for, because I wanted it to be about my thoughts, my mindset, not necessarily, I jokingly would say like internally that these are the thoughts of Paul Sherwood, not EyeMed. Like a little mini disclaimer.
Right. We're not, this does not mean endorsement or sponsorship by the organization.
Right.
Thoughts are my own, everybody. Right.
Right. But what I found is that when I did do that, when I did post things under the hashtag Woo Report, my viewership for me, anything over 1,200 for me was like through the roof.
Yeah.
When more than roughly almost half of your network is looking at something you posted, like to me, that was rewarding. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where I was driving. Okay. And again, it wasn't always vision related. It wasn't always EAP related at my previous role. It was about hot topics going on in the country or in the world. Yeah. And, what were my thoughts on it?
Yeah. You kind of made yourself a reporter, if you will, the man on the
in a way.
Yeah. Like the Woo Report was kind of like this is the Paul Sherwood Report, going out there. So let me ask you a question. So some people that may be watching this broadcast right now may be salespeople, and they might go, Paul, you're crazy. You're not even talking about your company in any of your posts. You very rarely do you talk about EyeMed, and, you even said to me today, Paul, you're like, I work in sales. I'm like, you do? Like, but I have such a great feeling about you. I have so much respect for what you do, and I trust you. If someone was looking for, you know, anything offered through EyeMed, I'd be like, oh, you definitely got to work with Paul. You know, he's a great guy, and I would trust you to the nth degree. But you're not selling. I mean, in your posts, and if you do it very rarely and infrequently, because it's not like I've seen some people. That's all they do. They're a salesperson that they just sell, and they're just trying to push a sales message out. So, what advice would you have for salespeople? That's all they're doing, and they're not getting a lot of engagement on their posts, and they might think, well, I'm not going to put non-sales related messages as posts because that doesn't help to support my job. What's the argument that you would give them?
I think you made the argument for me. I think you said when you think of me, you don't necessarily think of salesperson. You think of just somebody who's maybe a trusted consultant or trusted advisor. Mm-hmm. I want to be in that vein. I don't want to necessarily, and not that sales is a bad word, right? I mean, sales is sales. Companies need salespeople. So I'm not trying to, not have people think of me as a salesperson. What I want people to think about is the idea, the notion that I'm just as much in it for you and your success, whoever that may be, my prospect, my connection, than in it for Paul Sherwood and EyeMed.
Right.
Because to your point, when the time comes, if you or somebody needs our vision product, then you would be like, oh, I know the person for you.
Right.
That to me is worth more than any 20 posts that I can put on about EyeMed and about how we're great and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I would rather have somebody like you tell a contact of yours, oh, you guys happen to be looking for vision care?
Right.
I have a person for you.
Yeah. And I'm just looking at your website right now, Paul, and I see that people can buy frames and contacts online through in-network benefits, shop hundreds of frames, contacts, and prescription sunglasses. Well, gosh, I wear glasses and I wear contact lenses. I've not shopped you guys yet. Guess where I'm buying my next order of contacts from, Paul?
Yeah. Thank you.
So, it was like, I think it's funny sometimes, when we connect with people on LinkedIn, sometimes we don't really understand the business that they're in and the products and services that they're selling. And, sometimes taking a moment to look through their profile, but you have to earn their trust first. I mean, if you were like an overly aggressive salesperson, I probably would have tuned you out, not invited you on the broadcast here today. I mean, I wouldn't be about giving you my business, sending my business to you. Really earn that.
Road noise, sorry.
What is happening? Can you point the camera that way? Was that like a drag race or what was that?
No, that was hold on.
Uh-oh.
That was a truck that was driving by me.
Oh, look at this. This is like we're in Paul's vantage point. You can see. And are you walking around the neighborhood?
Hey, hold on.
Or what are you doing right now?
I am walking around my neighborhood. So here, I'll give everybody a little panoramic here.
It's a beautiful community.
Quaint little neighborhood here in Macomb, Michigan.
I bet those trees look beautiful when they start to flower and get the little buds on. Is anything starting to bud out there yet?
There have been. There's some of our annuals have sprouted a little bit, a little early. Oh, sorry, this is gonna get windy here. I'm in a spot that's open.
Yeah. You get a little bit of wind in the background there. Well, what I want to do at this point, Paul, is I'm going to go to LinkedIn. So I'm gonna put Paul on mute because we are getting a little bit of that background wind noise here while I'm pulling up my phone. And just to show you guys, I'm trying to mute. It's not letting me. There we go. Did that get rid of the background noise? I hope it did, guys. All right, so I'm using StreamYard. So what I have to do if I want to see your comments, I'm actually pulling out my phone so I can show you guys this, but I have to go to my profile to find the comments on here. And this is the way that I can actually start to see some of the activities that have been coming in. So right now we're at 123 views, 23 comments, and I want to give some shout outs to those of you who've been watching here today. If you're connected with Paul and you know him, drop me a note in the comments. Let me know how you know Paul. So I'm going to unmute you now, Paul, so you can hear some of this. So we've got Tom Daniels. Do you know Tom?
I do know Tom.
He's a character. He's a good guy.
Yes, Tom, my brother from Toledo.
Yes. Sometimes it's fun to talk about people on these sessions too. We know they're watching us and listening in. They're like, oh, what are they going to say about me? Like, it's kind of a fun thing. But Tom, you're in the cool guy club. You know, we love you, we respect you, and you're definitely a very respected person in the HR community. He works at, is it Bowling Green? Am I remembering correctly?
That is correct.
Yeah. So let's see who else we have on here. We have Claudette Harris joining us from Rochester Hills, Christina Babb joining us from Philadelphia. We have Dee Bowden joining us from Frederick, Maryland. Yep, Bowling Green. Thank you, Tom. Tina Marie Wellfield. So Tina Marie, Paul and I were just
Tina
talking.
Marie.
I texted you as Paul and I were talking, Tina Marie, because what we want to do is on StreamYard, we can actually do like a 6-person video live stream. Yesterday, I had my first 3-person. It was me, and then I invited my husband and one of his coworkers from Oakland Community College. And it was a lot of fun. If you guys didn't watch the video, you got to go and check it out, because at one point my husband was talking a little bit long and I cut him off by muting him, and I shut his video down and he got kind of mad at me. It was fun. But I was telling Paul, it would be kind of fun to have a 6-person conversation. So we were trying to think about who we might invite. And Tina Marie has a really great HR coffee talkie group. And Paul, you were saying there's different people who are kind of sharing the groups. Is that right?
No, they're moderators for Tina Marie if she can't be there.
Okay.
So maybe I thought maybe inviting Tina Marie and 4 of her other moderators to kind of just talk about how those sessions have been going, especially with COVID-19, and just, you know, I mean, I know that for her and I, you know, I know she's not on right now, but we can speak.
She is on right now. She's watching.
Well, she can't verbally address how
she can't.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she could technically, Tina Marie, if you wanted to right now, I could message you and invite you to join our conversation. I'm putting her on the spot because I don't I gotta get. You guys like my hair today? I got these little fun.
I do. I was gonna comment earlier. It's like you got fancy with the little braids.
My daughter was looking through some old books. We order like the Snapchat, or what is it called, Snapfish picture books sometimes, and we'll pictures from the summer, and then we'll create a book, or like weddings we go to and stuff. And we had one where we were twinsies. She was like my mini me, and we both had these mini French braid in our hair a couple of years ago. And I'm like, I haven't worn my hair like that for a while. So I think I'm going to do a fun little get up here this morning. But Tina Marie, so here's what I'm going to do. Put you on the spot. I was saying I have to do my my makeup and hair and stuff before I jump in. Totally optional. You don't need to do this, but I'm going to send you an invite. If you want to join me and Paul, putting you on the spot right now, but if you want to join us, I'm messaging you on LinkedIn right now with the StreamYard link, and you can join us. Optional. Don't feel obligated. But if you want to, you can join us. And once you come in, I will admit you into the conversation. And we've got maybe about 15, 20 more minutes. So give you a chance if you want to join us. No pressure, right, Paul?
No pressure at all.
So we also have, go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is that one of the things that I think her and I will both agree upon is that the coffee talkies have been very therapeutic for us as far as being able to see actually physically see faces. It's not just a phone call.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's been, really good about just sharing what they're going through, talking through some of the things that their companies are going through as well. Yeah. So it's really a great support group in many ways. But I mean, that's what those coffee talkies are about. It's just a safe place for, us to gather and talk about, what are you doing? What are you seeing in the world? How's your business handling this? How is your business handling that? So it's been really, really a great way to connect with people. And then to do it virtually was better than nothing.
Yeah. Right. So are you guys doing that through Zoom then? Is that how you're doing those events? Yeah. So cool. All right, let's see who else we have on here. So we had Justin from San Antonio. Hey, Justin, how are you? We have Terry Denise Faison, who says, shout out to Dr. Lee Meadows. Dr. Lee Meadows, we all love him. Huge. Oh, yeah. I think he's got a fan club. I think there should be like T-shirts at some point, like, the Lee Meadows fan club or something. Hey, I think I see somebody in the video. So let me finish the shout outs and then we're going to pull it in here. So we've got Christy Gingrich. Hey, Christy, nice to see you. And yeah, I'm sure Tom says he can imagine the people driving by and watching you walk. Have you had anybody like looking at you yet?
I had a few people kind of looking at me, and then I had some teenagers ride by me on their bikes, and they were just kind of like, who's this old guy trying to be cool with his selfie stick and earbuds?
And it's probably hard because of social distancing, but if in the rest of this interview, Paul, if anybody walks by you on the sidewalk, and you want to invite them in the background to wave, just let me. It's kind of like
oh, absolutely.
Good Morning America or those TV shows where you've got people in the background holding like the "Hello from Detroit,"
Right.
sign, you know,
Right.
you're the man on the street, and hold up your hand like you're holding a microphone and saying, "This is Paul live from Macomb, Michigan. Would you like to say hi?"
That'd be hilarious.
We're gonna give ourselves other jobs here. So
I might get the Macomb County police officers to show up if I started harassing people, though.
You know what? You got to have fun, though. And we got to keep to the social distancing. But, so if you do get anybody in the background that your neighbors and you want to have them wave and say hi, just interrupt me. I'm all about spontaneous and fun, guys. So a couple more here, and then we'll get Tina Marie on screen here. So we've got Archana from India. So we are definitely, we're international. Thank you, Archana, for joining us here. We have Shahat on the line. And I'll go back into our comments a little bit later. It looks like there's a couple more coming in, but drum roll, please. We have a special guest. Ready for this, guys? Tina Marie Woolfield, everybody.
Oh my gosh! Listen.
This was totally unscripted to bring you in.
The I didn't shower, rolled out of bed look. Only for you two would I do this.
Aw. Did you hear the birds just started chirping right when she started? She's like a Disney princess. The birds started chirping in the ground. And...
Yeah.
Hey, I love how you got look at all of us. We have our branded shirts on right now. Can you see this?
We do.
I want to pull this up because can you guys see this? I'm wearing where's my Meller marketing is over here. Paul's got his EyeMed and Tina Marie's got her HR Unite. Look at us all being good company and brand representatives for our organizations.
It's what we do.
I really had no structured script for this. We just wanted to pull you on. But since you're on, Tina Marie, I'll give you the chance. Do you want to talk about what you're doing with the HR Unite? And is the July event still happening? And what's happening with the coffee talkies? I'm putting you on the spot here, but use the floor. Tell us what's going on.
Well, again, I was one of the hecklers in the comments, telling people how horrible of a person Paul is. And challenging Tom Daniels to another. He's the best Euchre partner ever assembled. For those of us that attend my SHRM know that Tom and I are a force to be reckoned with. But outside of that, we have gone virtual. So I had 2 coffee talkies this morning. Our Grand Rapids original group and Southfield met. We have 23 groups meeting in 2 states.
Wow.
We have many members. I was looking in the comments. There's a good HR Unite support for Paul this morning here amongst our live feed. But, I could not do what we do without the ability to connect people in the community for dialogue by HR awesome people like Paul and others that just take the time to do what they do. Either they're in HR or they have a passion for what we do and support us in ways we could never, ever really repay in gratitude. Yeah. So 23 active groups. We are virtual on LinkedIn. Today at 4:00, there's a HR trivia battle. James Reed and Noel Parsons challenged the HR Unite community to a trivia throwdown via Commute and a Kahoot, I should say. And we're going to see what happens. Paul's going to be my phone a friend because I'm really not that great at it. And we're going to totally bring global domination down. James is highly competitive, James. It's your reign of Trivia King will end soon. But yeah, we have 23 active groups, Michigan, Ohio, and we're growing. And the whole aspect is how we get together and have conversations like this. How do we support and advocate and leverage our connections to really help build our HR community through collaboration, sharing, advocacy, and support. Okay. So it's been an interesting transition, and I am just grateful. Paul's been an original member of our community, the first coffee talkie that started. He's been with me, and I just keep dragging him into more and more because he is just that guy that shows up to Big B and tells the person that's there it's on Paul, gives his personal credit card, and again, does secret random acts of lattes. It's a beautiful thing, and he's so chivalrous that everybody wants Paul in their coffee talkie group, and I don't know why.
Paul, would you like to respond to that?
It's kind of windy here.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think I just appreciate getting together with that HR community. You know, and there's a sales aspect to it in the sense of, you know, getting into the mindset of the HR individuals that you potentially are selling to.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's getting really windy here. But that helps me. I mean, when I hear the things that we talk about, which stays within the group, you know, I don't share that. But when I hear the things that that HR professionals are dealing with, that helps me as a salesperson be better kind of prepared for, like, I get why, you know, people may not be buying right now, or this is a great time to sell because they're doing this, and this. So,
Right.
you know, it is twofold, but I don't sell during the coffee talkie. I mean, I don't think Tina Marie would invite me back if I was hard selling anybody.
That Big B coffee right out of your hand and you know.
No, she wouldn't waste the coffee.
No. Oh, what's your favorite? Do you have a Big B like flavor, or are you just like a regular coffee guy?
I actually don't drink coffee. I go to these coffee talkies and I don't drink coffee at all. I'm not a coffee drinker.
Tea, water, juice, something, right?
Chai tea, lattes, or
good.
water.
Yeah. So as we're talking about these things, I'm like, I haven't had like a outside coffee, and it's been like probably a month and a half now, you know, just to think about that. So Tina Marie, I want to bring this back to you. So you talked about the coffee talkies. Can anyone join those, or how do you pick who can be a part of that group?
So these are intimate groups of no more than 10 to allow people to be part of the conversation, not the center. And they build this trusted sense of a safe place. So it's the same people that meet once a month for 90 minutes. And so that's why we keep growing. And when there's a need, we just split. Washington Township launched the second group because that group busted at the seams. So now we have 2 Washington Township groups. There's 2 Toledo groups. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to somebody in Columbus right now. A big shout out. She's still on. The best trademark attorney ever assembled is helping me with that. It's Becky Wilson. Way to go, Becky. We're in the final stages of that process. And so she's helping with those aspects to allow us to continue to grow it. The HR Unite community is not an association. The community belongs to all of us. There's no fee to be a part of our coffee talkies.
Is it only HR people though? I mean, Paul's not an HR person, but he's kind of like been a associate member. I feel like I'm like part of the community, but I'm a marketer. I'm not an HR person.
Oh, you're part of us.
Yeah.
From us. Well, we do let some people that fall into an HR role or support us in an advisor role, but we're very specific. It's a trusted environment, non-sales solicitation.
Yeah.
So there are some individuals, they're great people, but they can't shut that off. That maybe the HR coffee talkies aren't the right format for them, but we allow them to assist us in other ways.
Okay.
Donald Trump's calling.
I know. I was like, you've got, you know, business is ringing in the background. Like, you know, do you have like an answering machine where we're going to hear who it is who's calling in a second, or?
Well, for those that are part of HR virtual coffee talkies, there's the dog. I think people are about ready to bingo. We have a Zoom bingo card for our virtual coffee talkies. Quite entertaining. But it's, so not everybody, but we do allow the right people in, which is important. So if you're there to be part of the conversation, you can contribute, and you're there to support and advise us. We got some great people that are in advisor roles. Shout out to Laura Van Hootie at Michigan Planners, Teresa and Anya at Hub, Noel Parsons, Katie Taylor at Strategic, Ann Young at Gallagher. So there's people that are not directly do it, but their passion is HR. And like Paul, they've never at once said, buy my product.
Right.
They're just there because they're great people, and they're there to just be part of our community. And that's what makes it work. So the other piece that you mentioned, I want to mention HR Unite 2020, to which, Brenda, you are a workshop presenter. We're still waiting to hear. It seems like every day that now we're in this COVID environment, the likelihood that we will be having that event seems to diminish.
Yeah.
However, I have not yet pulled the plug yet.
Okay.
So our group of community, it's kind of a focused and intimate gathering. So there'd be about 100 of us attending. And so it's still on, as of right now. I say now it was a 50%. Now we're probably at a 35%. So we may delay it, and maybe do something virtual. But I don't know about anybody else, but who doesn't want to go to Frankenmuth in July?
I know. I was like, the chicken dinner, right? You got If you guys are in Michigan, hey, if you're watching this right now, if you're in Michigan, have you been to Frankenmuth? Like, leave us a comment and say, have you been to Frankenmuth? And what's your favorite, place to? I'm like the chicken dinner. Like, I like you go to the little shops and they have those little, what are those cookies called? They're like made with almond paste, marzipan. Like, I love the marzipan and the chicken dinners. And so is the likelihood that it's going to be moved due to the venue, or is it just the environment, or is it a little bit of both right now?
So if anybody didn't notice, it's the best time to be an HR professional, but it's also extremely volatile environment we're in. And so we are really deep in helping our organizations survive and navigate this.
Yeah.
So from a resource perspective, that's a concern. Can we get employees, can we get our fellow HR community away from our organizations for more than half? So that's number one. Number two is we don't know what social distancing is going to look like at that point.
Yeah.
So if we go through phases as what's been promoted, there's a high probability we'll be at the 100 mark around July. But again, the safety and well-being of our community is most important.
Yeah.
As much as I want to go and have everybody get together for what will be epic, we need to do what's best for our community. So we have an event planning team that is monitoring this. In fact, Brenda, you are a part of that as far as our marketing aspect. We're going to reconvene here shortly because Governor Gretchen Whitmer just extended our stay at home until May 15th, literally.
Did she just, because there was an announcement the other day, she said probably would. So the word's out now. Is it May 15th?
Yeah. So she just announced that at 11.
Yeah.
But you can go boating now and you can golf.
Oh, okay. That's good. So there's a couple things that are being lifted out, and what's that?
Painting is good.
Okay.
They opened up the paints. They opened up the lawn care, as in
lawn care. Okay.
And buy your home.
Oh, and the nurseries. Did she open up the nurseries?
I believe so. Don't quote me.
Okay.
But that news was just breaking. So we're going to monitor it. The only thing I will say is, regardless, we're going to get together and continue to get together and continue to support each other. And through people like Paul has no idea when he shares his spread the word, how many people he's helped find jobs that were struggling.
Yeah.
That, again, we do things like that. We're going to continue to do that and be here for the HR community. Maybe it's not in Frankenmuth in July. Maybe it's at a local coffee shop, like a Big B near you, where we can get together more than 10 people. But
I don't know. My vote is it doesn't happen at a coffee shop. I think we need something a little stronger and later in the afternoon. That's just my vote.
Did you guys see that one coming at all? Like, no. You're like, I was like, are you talking about a conference center or like? No, he was going to like here in the Meller household. My daughter will know if she comes in the room right now. I'll be like, Charlotte, what's today? And she'll be like, Martini Friday. And I'm like, yeah.
Nice.
And I don't drink a lot, but I try to like once a week have my martini. I'm a dirty martini girl. I like my olives and stuff in there, but you got to have fun. And, the conversation we're having today about connecting people, helping spread the word, it's about positivity and it's about connections and using the gifts and talents that we have to help others, and doing so through social media. So, part of the reason I do this whole interview series is, bringing in really inspirational people that I know that are amazing people in my network, shining the spotlight on them, people like Paul and Tina Marie who are on right now. But, it's using what I have. I have the power of my network. I can extend into that network. And by doing so, by shining the spotlight on Paul, more of you are aware of his helping spread the word opportunities. The fact that he's doing that might inspire you. And I read something in a restaurant once. What's that Italian restaurant with the ginormous meatballs on Hall Road? What's the name of it? Do you guys know?
Buca
di Beppo. So we were waiting in line one day, and I don't know, we were by the hostess stand, and the manager's door was open in their office, and there was this sign that said, "You're not a leader until you've created other leaders that have created other leaders." Mm-hmm. And I loved it because it's not about what I do and what I achieve. It's what did I inspire Paul to do that inspired him to inspire people below him. And I think this helping spread the words concept could be something each of us do. It's not just paying attention to what Paul's doing on his network feed and the post that Tina Marie's putting out. And she uses HR Awesome. So if you guys aren't following that, hashtag follow that. But just thinking about how we could do the same and how we can all help to work together to make, this world a better place. And, it's very, maybe that's Pollyanna-ish. I don't care. I'm Pollyanna. I got the braids today to prove it, you guys.
But that's, again, Paul does this because that's who he is.
Yes.
And he is just a pure gentleman. And it's not for the sake of gain. It's the sake of doing because he's kind. And I think, Brenda, you do the same thing. And again, with you helping people in transition right now and your webinars and all the things you're doing in these conversations, it's having an impact in ways we didn't necessarily may not immediately see ourselves. There is such a ripple effect that I think what you do, both do, inspires others to continue to do it. It becomes a movement.
Yeah.
And so that's what we need right now, I think, as we're so isolated. We need this sense of community. We need this sense of connection. We need the sense to know that we're not alone, or there's people out there to help us and help us navigate, this, I call it this washing machine on spin cycle. I'm like, get me off. But it's just the things that we do through our actions. We're creating that's leadership, that's servant leadership. And it's such an amazing honor to know both of you. And yeah, I jumped on, and again, I told everybody, man, this is not how I normally look. See me today, but only for the two of you when I do this.
Thank you. Well,
Brenda,
guys, we are reaching kind of the end point of our interview here, and I'd like to give both Paul and Tina Marie the chance for some final comments here, and then we'll go about the rest of our Fridays. So, Paul, I want to just start with you. I just want to say a thank you again for joining. I thought this was really a fun topic to talk about. Any final comments for the group here?
I think first and foremost, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I really respect what you do in the industry. You've taught me quite a bit about LinkedIn and how to improve that, which is helping me spread the word even more, right? Because I'm building my network. So, I think for anybody who's out there listening, I think, be you first and foremost. Don't try to be me. Don't try to be Tina Marie. Don't try to be Brenda, but be you first. But if you do it with a open heart, and not to get too corny here, but like an open heart and wanting to really help people as opposed to helping yourself, I think that's when it could really, something magical can happen, and we can kind of cascade this down. And if everybody starts doing this and just helps just a little bit, then where are we? How much better are we as a society, as a country, as a world, if we all do just a little bit more for our fellow human?
Yeah, and on that note too, I'm two things. First, I put your LinkedIn URL up on screen here, Paul. I'm assuming you're okay with accepting new connections from folks who might be watching this broadcast?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
And then the other part is, if you guys are having a bad day, anybody who's watching this, whether you're watching this now or a month from now or a week from now, if you're having a bad day, do what I do, which is shift from thinking about yourself internally and what's going on to how can I help somebody else today? How can I make somebody else smile? How can I comment on something on LinkedIn, share a post, put an inspirational message. My hack is I post when I'm having a really bad day. You'll know it because I'll post an inspirational message on LinkedIn, and that helps to align my brain into those other areas. So thank you so much, Paul. This was a delightful conversation. And then Tina Marie, any final comments that you'd like to share with the group?
I would just like to say, check in on people, send a simple message, just say, hey, how you doing? I literally had a conversation with somebody from our Southfield group, Adam, and he just, after the conversation, he said, you know what? I just wanted to call and see how you're doing. And we give so much of ourselves. And I think the example you gave just, Brenda, is when I'm having a bad day, I do something positive and redirect that, that you never know how impactful that simple words of how are you doing will have on somebody's day.
Yeah.
It's genuine. It's that human interaction that we need, and it's personal. So the last piece is, when you are connecting with somebody on LinkedIn, I'm sure Paul, and I know you, Brenda, get a lot of connections. And this is a tip Brenda says, personalize it. Don't use the token canned. Hey, I know we have a lot of mutual connections in our network. I want to connect with you. And you're like, mutual who? Just be like, hey, saw you on LinkedIn, or do a little personal note to say, you know what, I just really want to connect with, want to connect, and why. I will respond and answer those all day long and connect with somebody when I know it's genuine and it's not auto-generated or there's no message at all. So just take a moment. Brenda can show you how to do it. But those personal interactions are what bring us together. And so that would be the only thing I would mention, is that I welcome any connections. If you want a virtual coffee, if you want to, talk about why cheesecake's better than pie, with you.
I don't have a problem. I mean, it's like picking a favorite child. Really, I would never turn. Cheesecake is pie. It's a pie cheesecake. I don't know. It's the same. You slice it. I'm all good with it.
This is an inside battle joke between Brenda and I, which I love both. I love it. Cheesecake is indeed a form of pie.
My mouth waters whenever we have this conversation because I'm going pie cheesecake. Like it's filling up right now. Like I'm like, ooh, pie cheesecake. Okay, there's one final thing I want to do. So Tina Marie, you taught me this. You did a wave at like a conference when you had like all the people in the audience do like the wave. So we've got 3 people on here. Paul, can you do this with 2 hands or you have to hold your selfie stick with 1 hand? Oh, you're muted right now. We can't
hear you. Hold the selfie stick.
Okay, so you're going to have to do the one-handed wave, but we're going to do a wave right now, you guys. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Ready.
Look at that.
That was awful.
That was awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Tina Marie and Paul, for joining today. You guys have a safe weekend, and I'll see you online, I'm sure. And thank you again, everybody, for watching. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay home. Let's help not to spread the disease anymore. And we'll be back out there in the living, the working, networking world soon in the future. All right, everybody, take care. Thank you.